Good morning, my math students. Today is Wednesday, March 25th. I am happy to say that I am going to be teaching you a new lesson today. It is lesson 4 in chapter 9, and the title of the lesson is Changes in Dimensions. I hope all of my students are doing well and feeling healthy, and I have to say that I definitely miss teaching you in the classroom in person. Okay, so the first example that I have for you is I have a rectangle right here. The length is 4 and the width is 2. If I were going to find the area of this rectangle, the formula for the area of a rectangle is length times width. It's similar to a parallelogram, but instead of calling it base and height, we call it length and width. So the length is 4 and the width is 2. So if I multiply 4 times 2, the area is 8, and it's 8 square centimeters. So remember from previous lessons that we learned, area is how many square units are inside this figure right here. I'm going to change these dimensions. When I say change the dimensions, meaning I'm going to change the length and the width, what I'm going to do to them right now is I'm going to double them. Doubling means multiplying by 2. So the length would become 8 centimeters. And the width, instead of being 2, we're going to double it, which means we're going to times it by 2, and it's going to become 4. Now I'm going to ask you to find the new area of the new figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over here and change it up. So the area is length times width, but it's not 4 times 2 anymore. It's 8 times 4, which is 32 square centimeters. So what happened was when I doubled the dimensions, the area actually was multiplied by 2 and then by 2 again. So like 8 was actually multiplied by 4 to get 32. Okay, and that's how the area changed. It was 8 and became 32 just by doubling the dimensions. So in future problems, I will always tell you if you're doubling the dimensions, you might be tripling the dimensions, which means timesing by 3. You might be timesing them by 4. I will always tell you how the dimensions change, and then I'm going to ask you to compare either the areas or the perimeters. In this next problem, I'm going to ask us to compare the perimeters. So perimeter, the word perimeter, as my 6th grade teacher taught me, means you're really finding the rim, the distance around the rim of the figure. So I'm going to actually bold this word rim. Okay? So the perimeter means you're finding the distance around the figure, just like this. Okay? As if you were walking around this entire block right here. Perimeter means you add up all the sides. So that means opposite sides are equal of a rectangle. So I'm going to add 4 plus 4 plus the 2 plus the 2 again. And my perimeter is going to become 12 centimeters. Perimeter is just expressed in centimeters or inches. It's not square units because perimeter is the distance around the figure where area is what's inside. Okay, so now I'm going to change it up a little bit and I'm going to triple these dimensions. Tripling means timesing by 3. So my new length is not going to become 8 as it was before because we doubled it. Now I'm tripling it, which means I'm timesing it by 2. It's timesing it by 3. It's going to become 12. And I'm going to times 2 by 3 and get 6. So let me say that one more time. I tripled the dimensions. 4 got multiplied by 3 and became 12. 2 got multiplied by 3 and became 6. Now I'm going to find the new perimeter of the new figure. So what I'm going to do is copy this over here, but I'm going to change it. So this is not going to be as it was before. My new dimensions are 12 plus 12 plus 6 plus 6. And you're definitely going to use a calculator to solve this. So when I add together all those numbers up, I actually get 36. How did my perimeter change? Well, it's interesting. When I tripled my dimensions, my perimeter tripled. the 12 centimeters became 36. So what you have to focus on is always drawing out a new figure when I tell you the dimensions change, and just simply find either the new perimeter or the new area, whatever it is I may ask for. Okay, so we'll keep practicing. Here's a triangle. I'm going to find the area now of this triangle that I gave the dimensions for. So the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Remember, this slash means to divide. Okay, the base is 4, the height is 2, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So in this problem, you didn't need to know these dimensions right here, the sides of the triangle. You would only need that to find perimeter, but I was finding area. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 square centimeters. Let's say I was going to double these dimensions. So the base is going to become 8 centimeters, and the height, which is my dotted line right here, my height, since I'm doubling it, it was 2, but I'm going to times that by 2 because I'm doubling, and it's going to become 4. Now the sides are also going to be doubled, but I don't really need those to find area, so I'm not going to put them on here because I don't need it. So my area is still base times height divided by 2, but now my dimensions have changed. It's not 4 times 2, it's 8 times 4. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. So how did the area change? Well, the area was 4, and it got multiplied by 4 to give me 16. So the area was originally 4 of this figure right here, of this triangle. I doubled the dimensions, and my new area was 16. Now we're going to talk about perimeter. Perimeter means we add up all the sides. So now I don't need the height anymore. It's 4 plus 3 plus 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10 centimeters. So let's say I triple the dimensions. So the bottom of it is going to become 12 centimeters. And the sides are triple. Triple means timesing by 3. So the sides are each going to be 9 and 9 again. And now if I want to find the perimeter, I'm going to add up 12 plus 9 plus 9. So when I do that, 12 plus 9 plus 9. So I'm going to add up 12 plus 9 is 18. And when I add that up, I get 30. So what's interesting is when my dimensions tripled, my perimeter tripled also. So basically the perimeter tripled. The way the effect that it has on the perimeter is the same effect it had on the dimensions. But simply put, you can just find the new dimensions by drawing out a new picture and just compare the two perimeters. Okay, I'm just analyzing that in a little more detail. Okay, suppose the side lengths of a parallelogram at the right are tripled. What effect would this have on the perimeter? So the best thing for you to do is draw a new figure. Okay, the perimeter of my original figure is 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7, so 7 plus 7 is 14. So the perimeter is 14 centimeters. If I were going to triple these dimensions, so my new base is going to be, I'm sorry, I apologize. If I'm tripling, I'm timesing by 3, this should be 12. And tripling the sides mean they would become 9. So the perimeter of the new figure would be 12 plus 12 plus 9 plus 9. And the answer to that would be 42 centimeters. So I tripled my perimeter when I tripled my dimensions. But area works differently. So for area, it doesn't work the same way as perimeter. But again, the easiest thing to do is to just draw a new figure and find whatever it is it's asking for. Perimeter, in this case it asks for perimeter, or it may ask for area. Okay, here's a parallelogram. I'm going to find the area, and I'll always tell you if you're finding the area or the perimeter. I will always tell you. So the base times the height is 7 times 5. Well, 7 times 5 is 35, and it's square centimeters. Okay, if I were going to triple these dimensions, tripling meaning I'm timesing by 3, the base is going to be 21 centimeters, and the height is going to be, if I'm tripling it, 15 centimeters. And then when I multiply my new base times my new height, so I'm going to basically take this and copy it over here to show you. So my base times my height, so this was going to be, is going to be 21 times 15. And if I multiply 21 times 15, I get 315. Okay, so what happened was I tripled that. And what happened is my area, if I multiply 35 times 3 and then times 3 again, that's how it affected my area. But again, like I said, you don't have to go so in depth with the analyzing the areas. You can just find them both, and I'm happy with that. Let's just look at a trapezoid. Okay, the formula for the area of a trapezoid, just to review, is base 1 plus base 2 times the height, and all of that gets divided by 2. So all of that gets divided by 2. So that means I'm going to add together my two bases, which is 6 plus 3 times 4 divided by 2. So the area comes out to be, well, 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. And 36 divided by 2 is 18. And that is square centimeters. If I were going to double the dimensions, my base, and I'll always tell you if I'm doubling or I'm tripling or whatever I'm doing, I will always have to tell you that. My two bases are going to be tripled. So doubled. I apologize. They're going to be doubled. So I'm doubling the dimensions. So 6 times 2 is 12, and 3 times 2 is 6. I might have said the wrong thing, but I am doubling the dimensions, not tripling them. And my height, since I'm doubling this, the 4 centimeters is going to become 8 centimeters. Okay, and now I'm going to take this whole thing and copy it over here and just replace the dimensions. So the bases were 12 and 6. I'm going to times it by the height, which is 8, and divide by 2. So 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 times 8 is 144. Divided by 2 is 72. And you can just compare them. 18 has 18 compared to 72. Well, if you multiply 18 times 2 and then by 2 again, you get 72. But again, tonight for homework, I'm going to be giving you problems where I ask you, for example, to either double or triple the dimensions or whatever I ask you to do. I would like you to just draw a new figure and find the perimeter or the area and label it with the new dimensions, whatever I would ask you to do. So you basically just follow it along, and the whole thing is drawing it out and focusing on what are the changes in dimensions. Remember, doubling means timesing by 2, tripling means timesing by 3. I may ask you to multiply the dimensions by 4, so you just have to pay attention to that. Perimeter means you add up all the sides. It's finding the rim of the figure. And area is following the formula. Parallelogram is base times height. Triangle is base times height times 2, divided by 2. I apologize. Base times height divided by 2, and so on.